We have the milling area, and in just moments away the boats will be coming out on plane for today's exciting start. First we'll be going with the Superboat start, and they have added the Pro Stock class with the Superboat category. Express. And right there on the inside of Panama Jack, it's Bad Move. So you have Bad Move, Panama Jack, Hawk Marine Power, Talon, and Eastern Express on the far outside of the race course. We've got the green flag, and right there in the picture, the Fountain takes an early lead with Hawk Marine Power. Dollar Marine is right there also. So we've got an Agitator's on the extreme inside. You've got Agitator moving out there with Fountain, and Mandy Fernandez's Hawk Marine Power. Dollar Marine is hanging in there also. Talon also coming out nicely with these boats. So in your picture right there, you've got Hawk Marine Power, Fountain, Dollar Marine, and Agitator on the extreme inside. We've got a clean start. Very good right now. There you have Agitator and Hawk Marine Power running 1-2 with Fountain running third overall right now. Fernandez knows his business. A seasoned veteran. He's got that throttle down, and he's starting to take a slight lead now over the pack. Agitator hanging in second, and Fountain still in third place. That's boat number 26, Hawk Marine Power. There on the far outside, it's Dollar Marine. We've got a battle right now at the very early stage of this race. Dollar Marine on the outside, Hawk Power on the inside. We've got the Deep V going up against a Catamaran. Hawk Marine Power, that Jaguar Catamaran hull going up against that very good-looking 41-foot Apache Deep V hull of the Dollar Marine Special. Then you see Dollar Marine taking a slight lead. The Apaches really are known to excel in this very rough water, and as you can see with the rough seas that we're having right now, about a 3 to 4 foot chop, the Apache race hull can certainly go through it a little easier than the Catamaran of the Jaguar, but still, it's going to be a long race. These guys are going to be running many miles, so it's too early to call, and we'll have to see what happens at the finish. But right now, we're going to highlight boat number 26, the Hawk Marine Power. This all-red 35-foot Jaguar race hull is powered by two 750-horsepower Hawk motors with Merc Cruiser inboards. This boat is owned by Hugo Colombo of Coconut Grove, Florida, who is the driver today, and Mandy Fernandez from Miami, Florida, is your throttles. What more can we say? Mandy Fernandez, a seasoned raceman. He's been throttling boats for so many years. He's got a lot of miles and races under his belt, and he brings a lot of experience and competitiveness to Colombo's Hawk Marine Power. But the Dollar Marine Special is taking a slight lead right now, but Fernandez, being the strong competitor that he is, he'll know when he has his opening to really excel those throttles through the calmer portions of the race course. It's a long race, no need to panic right now. Hugo Colombo and Mandy Fernandez making up the Hawk Marine Power race team. We wish them all the best here today. And during the off-season, Mandy Fernandez had a new addition to his family. He had a baby boy, and everyone at Freeze Frame would like to wish him all the best and our congratulations. And who knows in how many years we'll be seeing another throttle man carrying on in the tradition of his dad, the Fernandezes. Now we come up on your first place boat overall. It's boat number 88, the Dollar Marine Special. This very colorful 41-foot Apache race hull is powered by two 850 horsepower Zool inboard motors with Kike for outdrives. This boat is owned by Jack Herrick of Jericho, New York, who is your driver of record. But for today, he's got John Tomlinson from North Miami, Florida driving, and Phil Lipschutz from Miami, Florida on throttles. And these guys are off to an excellent start. The boat looks very good, as you can see. One of the nicer and more intriguing paint jobs that we have of all the race boats here today. And these Zool motors are really doing the job. And the Apache race hull is certainly a proven race hull. So with a combination of Zool power, Apache race hulls, the Dollar Marine Special is certainly going to be a boat to reckon with here today. They're off to a great start. The attitude of the boat looks very nice. And we certainly could see them in the winner's circle if things work out the way they are. But as we saw earlier on, the Hawk Marine Power will be challenging them throughout the day. We're running in speeds of over 70 miles per hour right now, which is very good in some of these rough water conditions. Lipschutz really has the boat dialed in nicely. Tomlinson doing a very fine job driving. So the crew of Tomlinson and Lipschutz making up the Dollar Marine Special. And as this race wears on, we wish them all the best here from Key West, Florida. Boat number 88, the Dollar Marine Special. From our vantage point, it sounds like Phil's doing an excellent job on the throttles. We're in for a long afternoon of racing. They've only gone about 6-7 miles at the present point in time, and with a total of 156 miles to go, there's still approximately 150 miles. So in that distance, anything can happen, especially out here in the open season offshore powerboat racing. It's certainly a rough sport on the equipment as well as the competitors, but these boats certainly hold together, and this is what it's all about. So at the end of 156 grueling miles, we will be seeing who wins this superboat class in the 1990 Key West APBA Offshore Challenge. Dollar Marine Special is certainly one of the odds-on favorites at this point in the race. Looking very strong, going to be tough to catch. And trying to close the gap on Dollar Marine Special is Colombo and Fernandez in Hawk Marine Power, as you see right there in your picture. Charging hard, trying to make up some ground and keep Dollar Marine Special in their sights. Now we come up on boat number 14. This is the Eastern Express race team. This is a 30-foot Shadow Cat powered by two 550 horsepower Chevrolet inboard motors with Merc Cruiser drives. This boat is owned by Eastern Express Enterprises of St. Clair Shores, Michigan. Driving today, you've got Joe Brisciami of St. Clair Shores, Michigan. On throttles, you've got Werner Bolstler from St. Clair Shores, Michigan. And also hailing from St. Clair Shores, it's John T. Avery as your navigator. The Eastern Express race team. Eastern Express is having a very good run right now. They're locked in a fierce battle with Agitator as well as Hawk Marine Power Dollar Marine Special. Everyone is in each other's sights. That's Talon, different class boat, a production boat, actually a pro stock, but same different categories, but they are having some good competition right now. And there's Agitator. These boats are going head to head. They're in the same division. You've got Agitator and Eastern Express going neck and neck. Agitator on the far outside, taking a slight lead over the Eastern Express race team. But as we've said earlier on, there's a long way to go here in today's race, so anything can happen. Now we come up on boat number 10. It's the Agitator race team. This is a 32-foot skater racing boat powered by two 650 horsepower United Racing inboard motors with Merc Cruiser drives. This boat is owned and driven by Alan Dunteman of Oak Brook, Illinois. And on throttles, you've got Kirk Dunteman, also from Oak Brook, Illinois. The Duntemans in the Agitator race team. They had a relatively very successful 1989 campaign, and they've come back out under the same banner of Agitator for 1990, and the Duntemans are certainly going to be a boat to be reckoned with today as well as the entire year. Kirk's doing a great job right now on the throttles, and Alan's really got the boat dialed in quite nicely and driving it very confidently. The Duntemans of the Agitator race team really have it all together. And still on the far outside, that's the Talon race boat, which is a pro stock doing very well right now, running with these superboats. The Duntemans doing very well right now. Kirk, what more can we say? And Alan, a great job. The Duntemans from Oak Brook, Illinois, making up the Agitator race team. Jack doing a very fine job on the throttles. Getting a little loose there. Alan getting the boat up. A little loose, but right now it's back on target and doing very well. Trying to let it all hang out here. The Duntemans and the Agitator race team. There we see Talon on the outside going by the Duntemans and Agitator. It's P26, the Talon race team. There's a 37-foot Talon race hull powered by 3 250 horsepower Mercury outboard motors. This boat is owned by Gary Armington of Sarasota, Florida, who is your driver of record as well as your throttle man, and driving today is Richard Middleton, or Bolt as people seem to call him. So you've got the crew of Armington and Middleton making up the Talon race team. Talon is enjoying a very good run right now. Basically, their main competition in pro stock today will be Panama Jack. But Talon seems to be having it all to themselves right now. He's running with bigger boats and a class above them, as you saw, running with Agitator quite nicely, as well as Eastern Express. And Armington and Middleton are doing a fine job in the Talon race team. Although there is a long way to go, if it remains like this, Talon is in for a very successful day. From Key West, Florida, it's P26, the Talon race team. As 1989 closed last year here in these same waters off Key West, Armington enjoyed a very successful day of racing. Actually, 2 days of racing where he had victories both days. He had a very fine campaign, and he hopes to pick it up right here in the same waters off Key West. Gary Armington's Talon race team. Now we pick up one of our divisional boats. This is in the B class. B52 is the number, and it is also called B52. It is a 30-foot Mirage Deep V race hull powered by two 500 horsepower Merc Cruiser inboards with Merc Cruiser outdrives. This boat is owned and driven by Al Hoffman of Eastport, New York, and John Domino from Babylon, New York is on throttles. John is also involved in rigging many boats in the New York, Long Island area. So they've come a long way from the Empire State, New York, to come on down and race here. They've had a lot of racing under their belts off the waters of Long Island Sound and the Atlantic Ocean. And here they've come into Key West, Florida to see what the New York contingent has to offer in competition to the Florida boats. And coming up behind B-52 is Bad Move. This is a pro stock boat. So we've got a good battle going here between B-52, a Divisional B boat, and a pro stock boat known as Bad Move. Really going neck and neck. Domino doing a fine job of throttles in the B-52 race boat. Domino and Hoffman of B-52. Obviously, different categories and classes of race boats, but nonetheless, some very exciting competition. Hoffman and Domino really having a strong ride. In Divisional B, we have many boats entered. Domino will be dueling all day, it looks like, with Headhunter, Team Scarab, Wild Thing, and some of the stronger boats, it looks like so far, Turn of the Century, Creative Native, Hot Ticket, and Crack Conks. The B-52 race team. Now we come up on P-15, the Bad Move race team. This is a 34-foot Hydrotech powered by three 240 horsepower Mercury outboard motors. This boat is owned by South Jersey Racing Enterprises of Glassboro, New Jersey. The entire team hails from the Glassboro, New Jersey area. Driver of record and on throttles, you've got William L. Durham. Driving today, you've got Robert D. Woodson, and your navigator is Joseph B. Brackney. This boat, the hull looks familiar. It's the former Concrete Cat, which was your 1988 Northeast Divisional Champion as well as World Champion. So this boat certainly has some victories under its belt, and the South Jersey Racing Enterprises group, headed up by Durham, would certainly like to bring home some of those victories in their own area of South Jersey. We wish them all the best. Right there you see them running very hard and strong, getting a little loose, but not a problem. The attitude has been restored. The boat is looking very comfortable right here in these waters, and we wish the South Jersey Racing Enterprises group all the best, headed up by Durham, Woodson, and Brackney. P-15, the Bad Move race team. William Durham is doing an excellent job on the throttles, and we wish the entire crew of the Bad Mood Race Team all the luck today, as well as throughout the entire 1990 APBA race schedule. Now we come up on D25, the Warrior Race Team. This is a 41-foot Apache Deep V race hull powered by two 740 horsepower Chevy inboard motors with Merc Cruiser drives. This boat is owned by Rolando Piega of Miami, Florida, who is your driver of record as well as your throttle man. Driving today is Orlando Gomez from Miami, Florida, and Brad Halpin from Miami is your navigator. The Warrior Race Team, and they are locked in a fierce battle in Divisional D with Black Thunder and Hooters. They're presently, unofficially, in first place in class, but they are being challenged by Black Thunder. Hooters is there, as well as Chill Out. So if things continue like this, we're certainly going to go down to the wire in Divisional D. But right now, Piega is having his way in the Warrior Race Team. As we said, he is running in first place in class. The boat is sounding very strong. They look very comfortable and confident in that sleek 41-foot Apache race hull, and we wish them nothing but the best. From Key West, Florida, it's Rolando Piega's hard-charging Warrior Race Team. Piega is doing an outstanding job on the throttles with his calm water as he's heading out of Mallory. In the Super Bowl class, we've still got a hard battle ranging on between Dollar Marine Special, Hawk Marine Power, and Agitator, as well as Eastern Express still hanging strong in there. Talon is having a fine run in Pro Stock, with Panama Jack also in the thick of things in Pro Stock. But right now, Rolando Piega is having a great day of racing. He's doing a fine job on the throttles, and Orlando Gomez doing a great job piloting the Warrior Race Team. So even out in this rough leg, they really seem to have this boat dialed in quite nicely. From Key West, Florida, it's Rolando Piega's Warrior Race Team. Now from Warrior we go to two other Sportsman D boats. On the inside it's Black Thunder, and on the outside it's Chill Out Race Team. This is what the race is all about. We've got some excellent competition right now in Divisional D. Let's go to D11, the Black Thunder Race Team with Chill Out on the outside. Black Thunder, it's a 38-foot cigarette powered by two 650 horsepower homemade inboard motors with Merc Cruiser drives. This boat is owned by John Rabine of Warren, Ohio, who is your driver of record, and he is driving today. Skip Kreiner from Fort Lauderdale, Florida, is your throttle man, and on navigating, we've got Bill Marsteller from Warren, Ohio also. The Black Thunder race team really running hard right now as they're chasing down Warrior, who we just saw earlier on. John Rabine's doing an excellent job right now driving this boat, and Kreiner has a lot of experience under his belt, especially in these waters, throttling for the Black Thunder race team. They're enjoying a fine run, and they're in the thick of things right now with Warrior. And Chill Out is also in the hunt right now. Black Thunder sounding very strong right now. Those homemade inboards are really doing the job, propelling this 38-foot cigarette deep V around the race course. John Rabine's Black Thunder race team. And on the far outside, that's the Chill Out race team, locked in a fierce battle with Black Thunder. Kreiner's doing a fine job on throttling for Black Thunder at this point in the race. Really good battles going on in Divisional D with Black Thunder, Chill Out, and Warrior at the present time. In some other classes right now, Dollar Marine Special, Hawk Marine Power are still going at it. Pro Stock, Talon, Panama Jack still right there. In the stock class, Jets Are Us, Thin Ice, Sunfire going right at it, with Conch Attack along in that category. Some of our divisional boats, as you see right now in Divisional D, Black Thunder, Warrior really doing fine. And in Divisional C, the heat is on, Mixed Emotion, Water Chaser really doing well. B locked in a very tough battle, Turn of the Century, Creative Native, Hot Ticket, Crack Conchs also looking good. And in A, Mr. Zip, Challenger Aerotech, Vanishing Point looking very strong with Turn of the Century running well also. Now we come up on boat D2, the Chill Out race team. This is a 32-foot Scorpion powered by two 700 horsepower United inboard motors with Merc Cruiser drives. This boat is owned by Fernando Morales of Miami, Florida, who's your driver of record. Humberto Rodriguez from Miami is your driver. On throttles, we've got Fernando Rodriguez also from Miami, and Jay Adevito from Miami is your navigator. The Chill Out race team, and at the present time they're locked in a fierce battle in Divisional D between Warrior and Black Thunder. Present point in time, Chill Out having a very strong run. They've got this 32-foot Scorpion dialed in quite nicely. It's Fernando Morales' Chill Out race team. Chill Out rounding the checkpoint. On the outside of Chill Out, that's A41, Mr. Zip. Fernando Rodriguez doing an excellent job of throttling on the Chill Out race boat right here. The Chill Out race team from Key West, Florida. Now we come up on the hard-charging A41 boat known as Mr. Zip. This is a Divisional A boat, and at the present time he's running in first place, the Mr. Zip race team. This is a 28-foot Predator powered by two 400-horsepower Mercruiser inboards with Mercruiser drives. This boat is owned by J. Wayne Walker of Tappahannock, Virginia, who is also your driver of record as well as your throttle man. Driving today is David Walker, also hailing from Tappahannock, Virginia. This is their first year in offshore racing, and they're off to a very good start in this first race. Some of the sponsors who help them out are Zip Corvette Center in Mechanicsville, Virginia, the Mr. Zip race team. And they're running with Chevrolet small blocks that are really doing the job right now for this 28 Predator racing hull. Mr. Zip race team enjoying a very fine run right now. The competition in Divisional A is very tight nonetheless. Challenger, Aerotech, Vanishing Point, Turn of the Century are all in the hunt, but Mr. Zip at the present time has built a fairly comfortable cushion between himself and those other competitors. But with a lot of racing to go, he can't take anything for granted. It's J. Wayne Walker and David Walker in the Mr. Zip race team. Coming out of Mallory Square, this is Superhero, boat number 38, the Superhero race team. And this super boat is locked in a fierce battle with Dollar Marine Special, Hawk Marine Power, and themselves, as well as the Duntamans in Agitator and Eastern Express also. But Superhero is having a very good run. This is a 38-foot Superhero deep V bottom race hull, powered by two 650 horsepower C-Tech diesel inboard motors with Bootsy outdrives. This boat is owned by Superhero of Honolulu, Hawaii. Driving is Yoshiro Kitami of Honolulu, Hawaii. On throttles, we've got Mark Russell from Sarasota, Florida, and Joe Gear from Woodbridge, New Jersey is your navigator, the Superhero race team. This is an up-and-coming race team with an up-and-coming brand new boat. The new Superhero Boat Manufacturing Company has announced that its initial American Series 34 and 40-foot performance boats and its Italian Series 46-foot boat have been unveiled at the Miami International Boat Show this past February. The hulls of the American Series models are designed by Robert Larson of Port St. Lucie, Florida, principal of an independent consulting office specializing in conceptual design and problem solving. The boats feature Italian styling along with a variety of optional interiors designed by Joyce Fioro, a specialist in the development of performance boat interiors. So Kitami has really put together a strong organization here to run a very strong company, the Superhero Boat Company out of Honolulu, Hawaii. And what better place than to test out your boat and your technology is the race course. And Kitami's putting the Superhero race boat through its paces right now. From Key West, Florida, it's Yoshiro Kitami's Superhero race team. It's a stock boat. It's a 24-foot red skater powered by two 200 horsepower Mercury outboard motors. This boat is owned by John Antonelli of Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Driving it today, we've got Matt Bauman of Lexington, Ohio, and on throttles, George Peterson from West Islip, New York. George Peterson, a hardened racing veteran who's been around for so many offshore campaigns. He's just got so much experience, and combined with Bauman, they are forming the Spirit of America's entry here today in the stock class. Stock is very competitive right now. Spirit of America is slightly off the pace that Jets Are Us, Thin Ice, Sunfire, Conch Attack is setting. But nonetheless, they're charging as hard as they can and trying to make up some ground between themselves and the leaders in the stock class. On these calm legs, they really have to try to make up some time because in the rougher seas, they have to come off a little bit. So here's where they have to make up some ground. It's John Antonelli's S4 Spirit of America race team. Today being run under S15, Spirit of America. Peterson on throttles, Bauman driving the Spirit of America race team. And in front of them, we've got Godspeed. S20, and as you can see right there, the starboard engine cover is having a rough time and it could be falling off. We certainly hope this does not present a problem. Godspeed race team is a 24-foot skater racing hull powered by two 200 horsepower Mercury outboard motors. We certainly hope that that engine cover does not pose a problem that's coming off on the starboard motor. This boat is owned by Louis Ned Lipscomb of Hampton, Virginia, who is doing the driving, and Rich Mundy, also from Hampton, is on throttles. Godspeed seems to be slowing down slightly, and on the outside, Spirit of America is trying to overtake them, which they're successfully doing right now. That starboard motor could become a problem. Godspeed has come off plane, and Spirit of America is going by. So Spirit of America trying to make up ground on the other competitors as it tries to close the gap in the stock division. Godspeed is out at the present time. We'll have to see what happens if they get going, and Spirit of America is on its way. S15, Spirit of America. Tough break for Godspeed, but we hope they get back in the race. Mr. Zip still having a good run in Divisional A. In B class, turn of the century, Creative Native, and Hot Ticket dueling out for it. The heat is on, Mixed Emotion and Waist Chaser are having a great run in Divisional C. So right now, in the picture, it's S15, John Antonelli's Spirit of America with Matt Bauman and George Peterson aboard. Now we come up on a Divisional C boat. This is C2, the Mixed Emotion Race Team. This is a 25-foot motion race hull powered by two 240 horsepower Mercury outboard motors. This boat is owned by Token Transport Incorporated of Boca Raton, Florida. Driver of record and driving today is Ed Thornton of Boca Raton, and also from the Boca area, it's Roy Metz on throttles. Metz and Thornton making up the Mixed Emotion Race Team. And they're presently having a very good run in C class, and they're locked in a fierce battle with the heat is on, and they're holding off Waist Chaser. C2, the Mixed Emotion Race Team. There you get a good look of Ed Thornton along with Roy Metz, who are enjoying a very satisfying run at this point in the race. From Key West, Florida, it's C2, the Mixed Emotion Race Team. We wish them all the best, and they're locked in that fierce battle, as we said, with the heat is on, and we certainly see this one going right down to the wire. Mixed Emotion. Now we come up on C100, a Divisional C boat, who is locked in that fierce battle with Mixed Emotion, unofficially holding them off right now. C100, the Heat is On Race Team. This is a 32-foot all-yellow Manta, powered by two 625 horsepower Bandit inboard motors with Merc Cruiser drives. This boat is owned by John Provenzano of Tampa, Florida, who is also doing the throttles today. Alan Meyer from Indian Rocks, Florida is your driver, and Joel Moses from Tampa, Florida is your navigator. The Heat is On Race Team. They're enjoying a very fine run right now. So far they're able to hold off Mixed Emotions and Waist Chaser. John Provenzano's Heat is On Race Team enjoying a fine run. As you can see, the boat sounds very strong. Provenzano doing a great job on the throttles. Meyer's doing a fine job driving. The boat is dialed in quite nicely. And this 32-foot Manta known as Heat is On is having a very fine run here today in Key West. C100, the Heat is On Race Team. Bandit Racing Motors are doing a fine job here for Provenzano. Very strong boat right now. They're going to be tough to catch today. The heat is on, race team. Now we come up on a Divisional B boat. This is B33, the Wild Thing race team. This is a 28-foot Manta powered by two 200 horsepower Mercury outboard motors. This boat is owned by Wild Thing Offshore in Key West, Florida. Driver of record is Lenny Oswald of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, who is driving today. On throttles, we've got Lee Murray of Key West, Florida, and your navigator is Lisa Grieger of Castleberry, Florida. This is their first year on the APBA circuit, and already they've taken a fourth in Panama City race this year. So things are certainly looking up for the Wild Thing race team. Basically, they've come up with a name and that they feel they're always ready to do the Wild Thing, and they are the original Wild Thing race team. So we wish them all the best here today. The Wild Thing race team comprised of Grieger, Murray, and Oswald doing the Wild Thing out here today in the beautiful waters off Key West, Florida. Divisional B is a tough thing. Tough class right now. Turn of the century. Creative Native, Hot Ticket, Cracked Conks, and the Wild Thing, as well as Team Scarab, Headhunter, B52, who we saw earlier on, are all still running and locked in a very fierce battle. So we'll have to see how things shake out as we're coming close to the final stages of today's race. There you see them rounding one of the checkpoints, heading towards the next marker. From Key West, Florida, B33, the Wild Thing race team. They seem to be detecting a problem. They're looking at their gauges on the dash, looking at the motors. Definitely frustrated. They seem to sense a problem. Could have blown something in one of those motors. A tough break for the Wild Thing race team, and this could certainly curtail their efforts in doing the Wild Thing out here today. Tough break. Hope it's nothing serious, but I'm sure they'll be back with a vengeance later on. The Wild Thing race team. Really seems like a tough break for Wild Thing, and that they seem to be slowing down even more. They're all looking back at the engines. Definitely something seems to be wrong with that starboard motor. Tough break for the overall crew of Wild Thing. Right here in their home waters, but we wish them all the best in the next race. Now we come up on another local boat. In the stock division, it's S40, the Conch-Attack race team. There's a 24-foot skater powered by two 200 horsepower Mercury outboard motors. This boat is owned by Cates Brothers Racing of Key West, Florida. Driving, we've got Scott Cates and Craig Cates is on throttles, all from the Key West area. The Cates making up Conch-Attack. They enjoyed a relatively successful '89 campaign, and they're coming back here in some local waters and enjoying a very fine run in the stock division. They're dueling with Sunfire, Thin Ice and Jets Are Us in the stock class, and holding off Spirit of America, Godspeed, who we saw earlier on. Godspeed could be out of the race. Not sure if they're going. Spirit of America was running with Peterson aboard. We'll have to see what happens there, but Concattac is holding them off and trying to close the gap between himself and Sunfire. The Cates is really trying to put on a show here for the hometown crowd on their hometown race course in Key West, Florida. It's Scott and Greg Cates' Concattac race team. There you see Concattac coming up on Godspeed. Tough break for Godspeed. Nonetheless, they're still going around the course, but they have definitely a tough mechanical problem that has forced them to run way below the speed that they're accustomed to running. But Cates seizing the opportunity, going by Godspeed and enjoying a good run. Concattac. And there they go with the hometown in the background coming into Mallory Square in beautiful Key West. S40, the Cates brothers, Concattac race team. Now we come up on S12, another stock boat, the Thin Ice race team. This white 24-foot skater is powered by two 200-horsepower Mercury outboard motors. This boat is owned by Beasley Skorupski of Fort Myers, Florida. Driving today, we've got Robert Beasley from Fort Myers, and on throttles, we've got Steve Skorupski from the Fort Myers, Florida area. Beasley and Skorupski making up the Thin Ice race team. And there are some Thin Ice right now running very strong, locked in a real tough battle in the stock division with Jets Are Us. It's a 1-2 battle, very competitive, and Thin Ice is charging very hard. They've had a very illustrious 1989 campaign. They were in an unbreakable tie with Concattac as a 1989 APBA Southeast Divisional Champion, as well as the 1989 OPBRA Gold Coast Cup Series champion. So Thin Ice has enjoyed a successful 89, and they're coming out very strong here in 1990 and try to repeat in those winning ways that they've established. I'd like to thank some of the sponsors who have stayed with them: Veo Nesbitt Real Estate, Southern Yacht Service, West Coast Propeller, and Sable Signs, who are doing a fine job in assisting the Thin Ice race team. On the rough leg of the course right now, these smaller boats do have a tough time. They slow down, but they really make it up in the calm part of the race course. Thin Ice charging hard and attempting to close the gap between himself and Jets Are Us, the Thin Ice race team. And as you can see, they successfully closed that gap, and it's basically a dead tie between these two boats. Jets Are Us on the inside and Thin Ice on the outside. What a great race this is. S16, Jets Are Us. It's a 25-foot motion powered by two 200-horsepower Mercury outboard motors. This boat is owned by Mark Connell of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, Don Abatiello of Lighthouse Point, Florida is your driver, and Mark Connell is doing the throttling. And there you see them starting to take a slight lead. Jets Are Us, ooh, that was a tough one right there. They're taking a slight lead, but now Thin Ice able to make up some ground with Jets Are Us getting a little loose. But Jets Are Us seem to be dialed in quite nicely now, and but once again getting a little loose, which does enable Thin Ice, if they can stay running calm, to close the gap. So this is certainly interesting right now. Jets Are Us running all out, very hard. Thin Ice staying constant and really trying to keep them in the sights. This is very good racing in the stock division between Jets Are Us and Thin Ice. Jets Are Us would like to thank East Coast Jet Center, East Coast Avionics, Motion Marine, and 4Play Marine, who've done a fine job in helping the Jets Are Us race team. Jets Are Us and Thin Ice, it's going to go right down to the wire in the stock division today between these two boats. There you see the gap between Jets Are Us and Thin Ice. Thin Ice going all out to try to close the gap between himself and Jets Are Us. Very exciting. He'll go right down to the checkered flag here today before we determine the winner in the stock division. Thin Ice looking very strong, and he is making up some ground between himself and Jets Are Us. Now we come up on boat number 76, the Fountain Race Team, as he goes by Conch Attack, who's on the outside. Fountain Race Team, it's a 40-foot fountain powered by two 1,000 horsepower Fountain inboard motors with Merc Cruiser drives. This boat is owned by R.M. Fountain Jr. of Washington, North Carolina. Driver of record is Reggie Fountain from Washington, North Carolina, who's doing the throttling today. And there you see them locked in a fierce battle with Dollar Marine Special, who we saw earlier on today. But now back to Fountain. Reggie is doing the throttling. Joe Detour of Horham, New York is driving, and navigating is John Stenbach. That is your Fountain Race Team right there. And there you see him really charging hard as he tries to overtake Dollar Marine Special. This is an interesting situation. We have not seen the Fountain Race boat throughout most of the day, but almost out of nowhere, He's come right into the hunt for things, and he's running very aggressively and running head-to-head right now with Dollar Marine Special. Jack Herrick is going, what is going on? He's asking Lipschitz to really hit the throttles, but Fountain is going by on the outside. Reggie Fountain's Fountain race team doing an excellent job as it overtakes Herrick, Tomlinson, and Lipschitz in Dollar Marine Special. But there you see Dollar Marine hanging tough. They will not be denied. And they're rising to the challenge, and they're coming right back at Reggie in the Fountain race team. Great offshore racing in the Superboat class. You've got a 41-foot Apache going up against a 40-foot Fountain, and basically it's about one boat length separates these two strong racing competitors right now. It's Dollar Marine Special on the inside, Fountain race team on the far outside, locked in a battle in Superboat. You've got the Zool motors against the Fountain motors. We saw Reggie in the very beginning of the race at the start, and then we went out with Hawk Marine and Dollar Marine Special. We have not heard from him since, but all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Fountain is in the thick of things. That's Reggie Fountain on the outside, Herrick's Dollar Marine Special on the inside, and these boats are locked in a very competitive battle right here at this point in time. We've raced over 130 miles, give or take a little. We're in the closing stages of the race. Reggie's charging hard in the Fountain, really running well. But Herrick, as you see right there, the nose of his boat is coming right up on Fountain. Lipschitz is really doing a job on the throttles for Dollar Marine Special. What great racing the APBA is providing here in its Superboat class. Fountain's the first one into the checkpoint, and he seems to be taking an interesting approach. He's cutting from the outside lane into the inside lane, while Dollar Marine Special is doing the opposite approach. He's going from the inside lane to the outside lane. So basically what's transpired here is that they have changed positions on the race course. Could be a bit of very interesting race strategy, and we'll have to see how this unfolds as the race continues. Reggie Fountain really seems to have his boat dialed in quite nicely, turning around, trying to see where his position is in relation to Dollar Marine. And there's Dollar Marine on the far outside, and they're virtually running in a dead heat. These motors sound a little different than the Zool racing motors that we heard in Dollar Marine, and basically the reason for that is that the Fountain motors are turbocharged. About a half a boat length separating these two boats right now. Fountain on the inside, Dollar Marine on the outside. Great racing, neck and neck. After so many miles of racing to be so evenly matched, it's certainly a thrill here out in the open seas in the offshore powerboat racing of the APBA. And Herrick seems to be making a move with Lipschitz on throttles on the far outside in Dollar Marine Special. Basically, they're neck and neck running in a dead even heat. Super racing with between Reggie Fountain's Fountain race team and Jack Herrick's Dollar Marine Special. Fountain race team, Dollar Marine Still locked in a fierce battle. No one can get an advantage here. Now we come up on a divisional A boat, A95 Vanishing Point. There's a 24-foot Spectrum deep V hull powered by a single 300 Johnson outboard motor. This boat is owned and throttled by Charlie Hames of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and driving today is John Moss of Fort Myers Beach, Florida. Matson and Hames making up the Vanishing Point race team, and they're in a tight battle with Mr. Zip, Challenger Aerotech, themselves, and they're holding off turn of the century right now. So Vanishing Point is having a strong run with the lead group. They're really going all out now. They're in the closing stages of the race. They know they don't have that many more miles left before they get to the start-finish boat, so they're going to let it all hang out right now. Charlie Hames and John Moss in Vanishing Point race team. Now we come back to a boat we saw earlier on in the stock division, S20, the Godspeed race team. It's a 24-foot skater powered by two 200 horsepower Mercury outboard motors. And as you saw earlier on, they did encounter some mechanical trouble. However, they are back on the race course, not running as fast or strong as they'd like to, but being true competitors that they are continuing to run well. This is their first race in the APBA and offshore racing, so they really want to at least show what they're made of and the intestinal fortitude that they have, and hopefully this will be a good launching ground for them for the rest of the 1990 campaign. This boat is owned by Lipscomb Marine of Tab, Virginia. Driving today is Lewis Ned Lipscomb Jr. of Poquoson, Virginia, and from Hampton, Virginia, it's Richard Mundy on the throttles. Mundy and Lipscomb making up the Godspeed race team. Earlier on, they were running very well with Spirit of America, but at this juncture in the race, they're pretty much running on their own, just trying to finish out the race course, while some of the other boats are heading toward the start-finish line. We're in the closing stages of the races. We're going to stay here with Godspeed as he takes it toward the start-finish boat. In just moments after that, we will be compiling all of our final results, where we'll be bringing you the final results of the 1990 Key West APBA Offshore Challenge.